Hey guys, this is Gambris, and I'm going to be reviewing a game called It Came From Space and Ate Our Brains. This is a new game. Well, I say it's new, it's not even out yet. It's coming out on Steam very soon. And it's kind of a horde survival style game, but instead of with the usual horror theme that these games tend to have, it's actually got a more sci-fi theme. It's sort of sci-fi horror with aliens that like to eat people. So that's the idea, and basically the planet gets invaded by aliens, and you are a guy called Jerry, who's a lone badass, and he has somehow survived the alien invasion, and he's looking for supplies and realizes he's going to die because he's getting swarmed by aliens. So he decides to do the only thing he can do and kill as many of them as he can. That's the general concept. So straight off, from that description they give, you know one thing, there's no way to actually sort of win this game per se. The idea behind this as a survival horror is not really to win, but to get the highest score you can. So it's kind of like a little competition between you and everyone else playing the game. You want to be on top with the highest score. And obviously the score depends on how many aliens you kill, as well as some other things which I will go through in a second. But first, the game. The game, I've explained the concept, is good, but there's actually different levels and different maps, which makes it a little bit more diverse. If it was just the one map, it would get a little bit boring. So that's kind of cool how they've got all these different levels. You get different areas where you can either trap them or maybe exploit a little technique. One of the techniques we found whilst playing it actually was it's quite good to run around in a circle, and then you shoot the ones at the front and you can kind of survive almost indefinitely, and it will help you get a higher score. There are also different game modes. There's 4 game modes as of yet. There's easy, which is, well, easy. The game is very easy on that. I imagine that is going to be the game mode where people have the scores running into like the tens of millions of points. The crazy scores. It's also, I don't want to say it's less fun. It is quite fun, but I mean, if you really want to have a really good survival challenge with adrenaline pumping and everything, easy is not the game mode to do it on. Easy is the game mode to basically unlock the levels on. Okay, so you got easy, you got medium. That's kind of fun for if you're just starting out, especially if you're not used to horde survival, if you've not really played this genre much before, then medium is a good place to start. And it's kind of evenly paced, but once you get to grips with the game, the medium becomes quite simple as well. It becomes quite easy to survive on medium. After that, you've got hard. Now, hard I would consider as the standard game mode in this game. It's kind of the not too difficult, not too easy mode, where you're just kind of evenly matched. I think it probably is the game mode I would play the most on. But I say it's not challenging. It is challenging. It's just, it's to me, once you've got into the game, you'd be able to survive on hard about as much as you would on like a normal difficulty on some other game, for example. Now, the next thing after hard is they have another difficulty, even harder, called insane. And when they say insane, they mean insane. That difficulty is insane. I don't really know how else to put it. It's probably the most fun, in my opinion, because the general toughness of it. I mean, you play a game like this because you want to just survive as long as possible in really harsh conditions. It's an adrenaline rush style game. So for that reason alone, that's a good reason to play Insane, because you're not going to get much more of an adrenaline rush. It's the one game mode where you can really prove that you're really good at this. But also the fact that, obviously, if you get a high score on a game mode such as Insane, then it proves you are a really good player of this game. I know that we've been playing it, and I reached about ranking 7, which I think I've been pushed back now because people have got higher rankings than me. Vince actually managed to reach ranking 4. I don't know if he's still up ranking 4, but he was actually the 4th best player in the world. I mean, granted, we are playing it in beta, so there's not going to be that many people. The idea of it is, with the levels, that you have to unlock these levels by getting to higher waves in the previous level. So, for example, you start off with just the first level unlocked. Now, I've not actually unlocked any of the other levels. I've just, for one reason or another, not got that far in the game. I could do it easily if I played on easy mode or medium mode, but I've just never been able to quite do that. I think I quite like the challenge of Insane, and I've just never been able to get there on my own, or even when we were playing it as a group, we never got to pass level 6, I don't think, in Insane. But Vince did play this in easy mode, and he managed to unlock, I think it was past the wave 10, and he managed to unlock the next level. So we have actually played the next level as well, which is quite fun. So I think the way it works is that you reach wave 10 and then you unlock the next level. And there are, I believe, 8 levels that you can unlock, which is pretty cool. And I believe there are 6 levels that you can unlock, which is cool. So once you've picked your level and you've picked your difficulty, you're in the game. And your idea is to get as many points as possible. So how do you go about getting points? The most obvious way is you kill aliens. That is pretty much the standard way of getting points. That's how you get your points. But there are a few other ways that you can get, not really points per se, but I mean, you do get some points, but more of a way you can help yourself win. So you start each level with 3 lives. You can have a maximum of 4, so you can get more lives, and it's very helpful in Horde Survival to have a way of getting lives. You start with 3 lives. There are 3 different orbs that float around that are dropped by this flying SWAT vehicle. There are yellow orbs, there are pink orbs, and there are blue orbs. Blue orbs give you an extra life straight up, so that's good. Yellow orbs give you 2,500 gold, which is good, or cash or money or whatever, however you want to say it. And pink orbs give you a weapon upgrade. So let's talk about weapons. I mentioned you get cash and you get weapon upgrades. The weapon upgrades you get from the pink boxes are temporary. They will upgrade for a certain amount of time. They're also very randomized, but they will normally help you in the early game. There is another way of getting weapons, and that's by permanently getting the weapon by buying it. So the gold or the money you collect can be used to spend on weapons. I think the cheapest weapon you can buy is the upgrade to the pistol, which is 5,000. Normally the other weapons unlock at around about the 10,000 mark. And each weapon has its own upgrade tree as well. So the pistol you can upgrade to, I think they call it level 3. It's kind of like a tier 4 if you count the base gun as well. So you got that for the pistol, and you've got that for the submachine gun, for the shotgun, all these other guns that you can see. And that's just basically, obviously as you go along the waves get harder, and so that's the way you kind of offset the challenge of the wave. You basically buy the gun upgrades. When you're at the beginning of the game and you've just got your little crappy pistol, maybe one upgrade or so, the pink boxes are a good idea because they give you a randomized upgrade of some sort. But because it is randomized, it's not always necessarily going to be an upgrade. If you happen to have a tier 4 gun, like if you've got like the final upgrade of a rocket or a laser or something, or any kind of gun really, if you've got the final upgrade, don't get the pink boxes, because what they're going to do is they will at best randomize it to another tier 4 weapon. Normally they will happen to be around about the 2nd tier or 3rd tier of weaponry, which means you quite often will end up getting a downgrade if you have a really high level gun. So once you've got to the point where you've committed to a gun line, and I would also recommend you do commit to a gun line, because otherwise you're going to have the base gun of 3 different guns, and it's none of them going to be powerful enough to take on the groups of aliens that you've got to in that wave, because obviously when you spend the cash to buy a new weapon, you don't get that back, so that's money you can't use to then upgrade said weapon. So you buy a shotgun, you've not got the money then to upgrade it if you then choose to go and buy a submachine gun. So it's better to save your cash and pick a 1 weapon line. But if you do have a highly upgraded weapon, the pink orbs can offset that. However, you do get points by picking up the pink orbs, and sometimes that's worth just getting the orb anyway. Maybe if you're towards the end of a level, one tactic you can use, we have used in multiplayer, is to keep one of the aliens alive and then just go around scouting for the orbs to see if we can get all the orbs. The orbs do drop in the levels, but when you're getting towards the end of the wave, or the particular spawn of that wave, what vehicle will stop dropping them, so you won't just be able to constantly camp the orbs, which I think is a very good mechanic. Otherwise the game would just be boring, because you would just get down to one final enemy, keep them alive, and then you'll just collect the orbs and just basically have a really boring but winnable game. I think the whole idea of this particular style of Horde Survival is not to have an easy game, but to have a very fun, adrenaline-filled game. And when I'm on the aspect of fun, the entire game is based around fun. I mean, just from the name, it came from Space and 8 Hour Brains. Sounds like a very fun name. But on top of that, just the theme they've gone with the whole aliens that are eating brains and how they've called them things like Snacker and Chewer and Chomper and stuff like that. It's very sort of light-hearted, and I think that's good in a Horde Survival, because otherwise you would rage quit on these games. So I think that's a very good way of offsetting the rage by having this very fun, sort of relaxed atmosphere about the game. Other notes on the game, it is a beta, so there have been 1 or 2 glitches. Surprisingly, actually, I'm very happily surprised, there wasn't as many as I thought there would be. The main glitch that we've run into is sometimes an enemy will get stuck outside the map, and that can obviously be problematic. However, most guns can actually clip through these walls and actually kill the alien anyway, so it's not so much of a problem, but yeah, it can happen. That's pretty much the only big one we've run into. The only other one which is kind of exploitable is that if you directly run over these aliens, particularly if you're running backwards, you can quite often not get hurt, even if you run over a swarm. It's quite useful if you're stuck in a corner, but I mean, it's not really that needed, because if you are stuck in a corner and you get bit, you do have like a couple of seconds of invincibility before you get hit again, so they can't just basically trap you and kill you instantly. If you do get attacked and bit, then you lose a life, you just run out, because you're invulnerable anyway for like a second or two. Other than that, there's the whole multiplayer aspect of the game. When we saw this game was multiplayer, we were really happy that Triangle Game Studios, who developed this game, actually gave us 3 keys, so we could test out the multiplayer, and I am going to be honest with you, I was impressed. It's really fun, and the game aspect changes in such a way that you get respawns, so you have an infinite amount of lives, but it's more teamwork based, so you can actually like set yourself a whole different style. So for example, one person can focus on splash weaponry like the rocket launcher or the shotgun and take out large groups, while someone else can go for something like damage weaponry like a plasma gun, and then a third member of the group, if you've got 3 like we do, could maybe settle for something that's more precise like the laser. And that way you've got different roles which support each other and you can survive for a long time. But it's not all about the fact that you can survive basically as long as you want, so long as one person's alive, you will respawn, because whilst you're playing, you get stats at the end. So it keeps a record of how much points you get, keeps a record of how many shots you fire, how many aliens you kill, how many lives you use up. All that is recorded, and then at the end, it gives you these stats. So one of the things you can do is you can get a group of people together, and you can sort of compare the stats at the end and see who was the best player. So overall, I would give this game a very high rating. It's very, very fun. I am really looking forward to it coming out. It's going to be a very fun game to, play, and it's great for just that little bit of relax, or as a party game. I can see it being really good, and yeah, I recommend it. Basically, gets a good rating. So if you've enjoyed this review, don't forget to look for the game coming out on Steam very soon, and be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye.